I have a producer question for you now. When you're working on a track, and let's say you've been working on the same song for a couple of days,
Yeah.
when do you know it's done?
Mm-hmm.
And when do you say it's done? That's a really hard
That's
thing for some
hard.
people.
It is hard. It's like I sometimes will. It's when I'm okay. It's kind of for me. It's like when I'm okay listening to it straight through,
Mm-hmm.
without feeling either like uneasy or just like when I can casually listen to the thing, then it's probably done. So like I'll like maybe I'll work on the track or whatever, and then I like will pace the room, or I'll like I don't know check my messages or something, and if something jumps out at me, I'm like I need to change this thing. And then if I do that process and then I don't feel that, like if I there's normally a point where I'm like this feels like I always feel like it's like you're looking for a thing that already exists and you're just trying to identify what it looks like or sounds like. Like the
Mm-hmm.
song already exists in you somewhere. So it's like when you're like, oh, this looks like it. Like it just it this is what it's supposed to feel like, and you don't feel and you can feel at peace with it. I think it's that. And that barometer is different for every person, you know. But
Yeah.
the other thing is I'm also a big proponent of doing things and taking away. Like sometimes you know, like I remember hearing about Prince working on When Doves Cry, and
Yeah.
how the initial like session had like synths and all these different things in the record, and then like at one point he went to his engineer and he was like, let's just start taking things out. And then the last thing I guess he took out that was like him saying no one's going to believe I did this was he took out the bass for the song because it's like one of the only songs with no bass
Wow.
that's popular. But he
Yeah.
did that just as you know because he was Prince and he could do whatever he wanted. But
Right. Right.
you know, but it's just
Yeah.
that idea of just taking away too. Sometimes I'll throw a bunch at the song and then just take away.
Subtract.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that too. Where you or because sometimes I think it takes it like when there's too many things, it's almost like I equate I equate mixing music or producing music the same way a producer films a movie. Like
Yeah.
he's got the camera pointed at what he wants you to see,
Right.
right? Like you
Really.
wouldn't like if there was a scene of a film where there's two guys under a streetlight talking, the camera wouldn't suddenly leave them and look at a seagull eating a French fry.
Right.
Like that makes no sense. Like, like
right.
unless it's part of the story, which I doubt. But you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, everything is window dressing for the producer. He wants you to experience the listening experience the way he designed it.
Right.
The same
Yeah.
way like a movie producer wants you to see what they want you to see through that lens,
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then sometimes you start to listen back and go, oh, that thing's detracting from the focus. Like let me either pull it down, or things are too busy and you just start subtract. Yeah, I mean that's another thing. That's why a lot of times, especially when it's a song you wrote for yourself or like and you're too close to it, I think it's easier to give it to somebody else sometimes and say, you got great ears.
Right.
I trust your ears implicitly. So have at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having like people you trust is really good to be like it's on one hand you want to send it to someone to be like, hey, what do you think of this? And at the end of the day, you still have to do the thing that you like feel as the creator, but at the same time, it's like it's valuable having someone else's input, and someone who's going to like be honest too, and honest both ways. Because like I hate people say be honest just in relation to criticism. Maybe it's going to be like, honestly, this is incredible. Like what you have is great. Don't touch it. Because sometimes you need someone to tell you to leave it alone too.
Right. Yeah. And that sometimes happens. Also, do you ever have what I call the honeymoon relationship with songs that you write that are new? Like because you wrote it and it's new and it's exciting, you love it, and then you wait like 2 weeks, and then you listen back and you don't love it anymore.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and it can, then you're like, I spent all this time working on it, but yeah, I definitely have had that, and it's just like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I guess it's not a waste, right? Because it's like
No.
you learn, sometimes you'll apply different things in sessions, and maybe you'll like learn a thing and apply it into a different song or whatever.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, I've definitely had that, and I have it all the time. Like especially when I'm in the like voice note phase, of like if I'm just writing into my phone, I'll
Mm-hmm.
like come back and listen to it and just think like, oh, this is not it, and then you just keep going. I remember hearing about I always talk about it. It's like it was, I forget which college it was, but there was a professor teaching a pottery class, and
Uh-huh.
they split their class in half. And they said, okay, for half of the class, I want you to take this whole semester, and I want you to make one pot and put all your focus in making this one pot. And then the other half, I want you to make a pot a week, get rid of it. Make a new pot, get rid of it. And then I want to judge the growth and like which side developed the most. And the side
Right.
that developed the most was the side that just did a bunch of different pots.
Wow.
It gave you the opportunity to like learn from the failures more frequently. And so
Absolutely.
I just try to look at it like that, like, oh, this is garbage, but like I'll do something that's not garbage tomorrow, I hope. And then go from there.
Yeah, it's funny how like I noticed for myself, like it's really hard for me sometimes to be objective about something I created recently.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times I'll wait a week if I can, if it's possible, and then go back and listen. If I still like it, then I know that there was something to it,
Yeah.
like there's something to the idea. Now, here's another question as a producer. How many times do you feel in your mind so far that songs turned out exactly like they did in your mind?
Hmm. That's a good question. It's hard to say because actually, often, maybe not very often where it's exactly how I thought it would be,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many, you just stumble across things when you're working and you're like, oh, maybe this would be better, or maybe this, I don't know. Like, I feel like I try to just lock into the feeling, and I feel like I normally get there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
more often than not, I land on the feeling that I wanted. But
Yeah,
as
yeah.
far as sonically, like sometimes I'll think about, oh, I should do the song like this with horns, and I should do whatever, whatever. And maybe you're going through samples and you find some vocal thing that you really like, and then you
Yeah.
chop that up instead, and then that's what the song is. Maybe it's not the thing you thought. I think that
Yeah.
happens more often than it's what I thought it would be from a sonic place.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I think the feeling is everything. So I think I'd land on the feeling I want most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and when you hear, I think I skimmed on this a little bit earlier, but when you hear a song in your head, is it like real clear, or is it almost like a blurry photograph?
Um, Sometimes it's the like moments of it will be pretty clear, and then how I
Mm-hmm.
get there is very blurry. So like I might hear like I'll hear relatively like the feeling of the first maybe few seconds. Like it's probably seconds of the thing that I
Mm-hmm.
hear clearly, but then the rest of it, it's like if you've ever seen that drawing on Instagram where it's normally like when someone says like when you run out of budget, and it's like the drawing of a horse that looks really great, but then the legs are like stick figure legs. It's like that. It's like
I love that.
the first 5 seconds I hear spectacular or the chorus, but then everything else is just like a sketch.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like when I'm writing a new thing or a new idea, like I hear parts of it. It's almost like somebody put cellophane over a picture. It's like
Yeah,
I
it's
see it,
like
but
right there, but yeah.
yeah, it has to like I have to put my sunglasses on for it to get clearer. Like you see,
Yeah.
you have to, and sometimes I guess that does come from just experimentation. Now, like when you're working on a song and you say, well, we're on a good thing, but maybe the song needs, like, sometimes songs don't need what you think they need, but like you're willing to go the distance and try things that you're not comfortable doing because it might really pay off.
You're right. It might, yeah.
Or other times you're just painting yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm talking to myself out loud right now and you're listening to it, but
No.
you know, it's like, you know, I guess if you went back in time machine, you could save the version that before you started getting that bright idea that you were going to go off.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Or do save
like,
that. I know it's hard because you just never know.
Yeah. Like
yeah.
There's a song I was working on recently where I didn't have a verse, but I had a chorus. So like I had the verse music and the chorus music, but I didn't have a verse yet. So like I'm still working on it. I'm just experimenting on, I'm just like trying all these different melodies and I'm just doing them and like stacking them underneath of each other so I can hear them one by one.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear it for a while. And when I first did it, I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and this is just the opposite of what we said a minute ago, was like, I listened to it again and I really liked the last idea I did,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not done. So like, I'm still basically at like 12 seconds into the verse, you know, like I have kind of a bit more to go before I'm there, but so far I like it, you know, but it turned out better than I thought it did when I was laying it down.
Right. Well, that makes sense too, because it's like, you know, sometimes we have filters or whatever over our ears. Like there's always a point when I'm working where if I say like I can't hear, then I have to stop. Like if it just feels like my brain hurts and I'm not hearing anything clearly, I have to like stop, you know. And sometimes, you know, you might land on a really great idea, but also be like just close to your limit. And then it's just like you can't even hear the thing clearly because it's just like you have all these other things clouding in your mind. You're like, and that's why leaving and coming back, like you said, it could have been really great. Who knows?
That's the smartest thing. Yeah, it really is. When you're not making any progress.
Yeah.
Stop.
Or do like something else. Like I've done that. I've done like I've had projects that I like have to do, and I've been working on one of those, and then gotten stuck, and then just worked on something that random. And then gone back, and it's made I'm fresher when I go back to the other thing.
Yeah, you're like, oh, now I hear something for it that you weren't hearing before. I know. Yeah. And I think that's another reason why I like working with other people, because when you bounce ideas, you get excited. Yeah. I don't know, just the camaraderie makes you excited. There's something about camaraderie with other people that just make you, I don't know, excited, that rather than if you were by yourself in a room, you're not going to be excited. I mean, you're excited to a degree, but when you're having coffee with somebody and you're having a good day and fun and you're laughing and you're creating, it's just win-win, because you know, you're not just recording a song, you're making memories based on, you know, what you're working on at that time, and the recording ends up being a record of that date, you know. A lot of memories come from that specific recording or whatever, like, oh, I remember that when we did. Absolutely. I remember what all of us were doing when we did that, you know. So, you know, you related to an event and that camaraderie and sharing ideas with other people, just to me is just, I just come up with a lot more ideas too if I'm working with other people than if I'm just sitting here in a room by myself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree.